He's really good, isn't he? He's a brand new artist from Minnesota. He's 23 years old and he's got a debut EP, Half the Story, which is coming out on July the 29th, and that's one of the songs from it. Patrick Murphy, Looking Back, is the song that rounds off the country show this week. Thank you very much indeed for listening. I just want to mention Charlotte, Stan and Ron the dog. I know you guys are listening. I know you're massive fans of Johnny Cash. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the programme, and I'm very glad that you're having the weekend that's set up for you, and just have a wonderful time. Thank you very much for being in touch. On the show next week, Brad Paisley and Morgan Evans are both in the UK next week, so I'm sure we'll have something from them on the programme then. And of course you can listen to this programme and shows from the last month on BBC Sounds. I'll see you again next Thursday evening. Meanwhile, Trevor Nelson follows the news. This is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker, and on 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 10 o'clock, this is Mike Powell. There are growing calls for Boris Johnson to vacate Downing Street as soon as possible, rather than waiting for a successor to be elected as Conservative leader. Mr Johnson has said he'll stay on as Prime Minister until the autumn, but several senior figures, including the former Prime Minister John Major, have said he should hand over to a caretaker PM instead. The Tory backbencher Sir Bob Neill suggested that Dominic Raab should become interim Prime Minister, or the election for Mr Johnson's successor should be completed within 3 or 4 weeks.
Ideally, I'd have preferred he had gone today completely, and that we had had an interim Prime Minister step in. The damage that's been done isn't going to go away whilst Boris is in Downing Street, so that's my preferred option. But if that can't be achieved, then we should certainly greatly accelerate the process.
Boris Johnson has made ministerial appointments after resignations earlier this week. James Cleverly has become the third Education Secretary in as many days, and Robert Buckland has returned to the Cabinet as Wales Secretary. Among the ranks of junior ministers, Will Quince, who resigned only yesterday, has been reappointed to the Education Department. The mother of the toddler who became known as Baby P has been released from prison. Tracy Connolly was jailed in 2009 after admitting causing or allowing the death of her son Peter at their home in North London. The Justice Secretary Dominic Raab had argued she should not be freed. John Donnison reports.
Tracy Connolly was sentenced to a minimum period of 5 years. Connolly was released on licence in 2013, but recalled to prison 2 years later. In May this year, it was announced she would be freed again, but the Justice Secretary, Dominic Raab, asked the Parole Board to reconsider. The board has now rejected that appeal, and it's been confirmed she'll be released on licence with restrictions including on where she goes and who she contacts. Mr Raab condemned the decision and that it was proof the Parole Board needed a fundamental overhaul.
The former police officer who knelt on the neck of George Floyd in the US city of Minneapolis has been sentenced to 20 years and 5 months on federal charges of violating Mr Floyd's civil rights. He's already serving a 22-year sentence for murder and manslaughter. Rafael Nadal has pulled out of his Wimbledon semi-final tomorrow because of injury. He said he couldn't risk making it worse. The women's final will be between Ons Jabeur of Tunisia, the first Arab player to reach a Grand Slam final, and Elena Rybakina, the first player from Kazakhstan to reach one. She said she was looking forward to it.
For sure, it's an honor, and I'm going to be very excited for this moment. No matter if I win or lose, I think it's just something to remember, and it's going to be amazing.
At the Women's Europeans Championship, Northern Ireland have lost their opening match. They were beaten by Norway 4-1. The weather: clear skies for the south and east tonight, but cloudier in the northwest. Staying dry for most areas, with lows ranging between 13 and 15.